Welcome to Christmas at Bear's Paw Ranch. I'm Eleanor Burns. The custom of decorating a fir tree or Tannenbaum comes from Germany, dating back to around 1550. Well, evergreens represent everlasting life. Well, these are the ornaments passed down from my German grandparents, and I just love them. I always had the pleasure of hanging them along with the tinsel on my family's tree. Well, my mom carefully wrapped them in this box, and I have had them for years. They are really a treasure. Well, for my log cabin, I made some country ornaments. I made a garland out of yo-yos to wrap around the branches. And, of course, I have to have some little star quilts to deck out the tree. And for the wall, an evergreen pine tree wreath. Join me. In the 1930s and 40s, yo-yo making was very popular. Well, it was because the ladies could carry their circles with them and make yo-yos wherever they went. Well, times have not changed. When we went into Paducah, Kentucky this year, Teresa sent us off with yo-yos to go. Well, she cut out all of these 4-inch circles, put them in a little bag, and as we finished them, we just stitched away on the plane. Then we just put them into this project bag and have them ready for a really cute Christmas garland. Well, it was lots of fun to do. Linda couldn't stop making them. Now, they're 4-inch circles. Teresa cut out all of our 4-inch circles with a die cutter. That's how she got so many yo-yos to go. But go in your kitchen. Check out your jars, your cups, your lids, whatever. Find one that measures 4 inches across. Just trace it on your fabric. Cut out your 4-inch circles. Now, Teresa sent us off with wax thread. That was the first time I ever used wax thread, and I loved it. It's very stiff. It's easy to thread in your needle, and so you just get it threaded so quickly, you can make tons of yo-yos. Use a thimble. And just take your 4-inch circle, turn it wrong side up, turn under that edge 1/4 of an inch. And we found out that if you take big stitches, the smaller hole that you can get. So just quickly go around the outside edge. Originally in the 1700s, ornaments were all red or white. White for innocence, red for knowledge. So I'm going to use a lot of red and white. Okay, just go ahead and pull it up like this, and then just start going again. Big stitches close to the edge. You've got to do your stitches close to the edge so that whenever you draw it up tight, then it works. Also in the 1700s, that was when they started the use of hanging tinsel on the Christmas tree. And back then, the tinsel was real silver that was all just hammered flat and cut into thin sheets to hang on the Christmas tree. Well, I am right back to where I started. So all I'm going to do is just draw this up tight, and then once you have it drawn tight, arrange your gathers and pull it and flatten it. Let me get it. Oh, there it is. Pull it, flatten it. Pick out each one of those points, pull it as tight as you can, and then all I did was take the needle and go from the top through the center to the back and then knot it off. And actually cut your threads and just put it in your bag. Well, once you have hundreds of these done, if you have 21 of these, you can make a 36-inch garland. Then you can sew it together either by hand or machine, but actually I like to do it by machine. I have my zigzag stitch set, and I have a 4.0 stitch width, and I have 0.2 stitch length, so it's not really going anywhere. So you just go back and forth, and then once you go back and forth, you just slide it along to the next one. You don't even have to cut your threads. Drop it down on there, go back and forth, slide it along, and just keep it going. And once you have it the length that you want, Then all you need to do is just go back with your scissors and cut the threads in between. Just clip on one side, turn it around, and then go on the other side. Well, you enjoy making your yo-yos to go. If you have amusement tickets, concert tickets, or even gift certificates to give, this Jolly Elf stocking is just such a cute form of packaging. You can just tuck it right in there. It has a little hanger on it, easy to do and inexpensive. You can make it out of craft felt or wool felt. Now, if you use wool felt, throw it in the washer in very hot water and shrink it, then put it in the dryer in hot and press it before you use it. Looks really great out of wool felt. This is the pattern. You do the stockings out of red, then you have a little heel and a little toe out of some white. Well, this is the toe pattern, and I'm just gonna grab up my pair of scissors and just cut around that toe. I've got a nice little curve. Take this, get rid of it. Now the heel, it goes back on the end like this. The little toe goes like this. Now these are both oversized. So you can go ahead and position them on there and just edge stitch right around that edge. Using my famous red thread. Sew the toe on. Let me just cut the threads. And then the heel is just like a square that you put on the top and just edge stitch around that. I'm very, very close to the edge. Use needle down and down the other side. Well, you need to have one stocking that has the little toe and heel on it, and then you need to have a plain one for the lining. Once you get that on there, just follow the line of the stocking, cut that one out, cut this out. Easy enough for kids. They'll have a good time making it. You know, actually, you could sit down at Thanksgiving dinner and make a whole bunch of these. Then the kids will be looking forward to see what you're going to fill them with. Okay, once you have the heel and the toe on and you have your plain stocking, take your cuff. Your cuff is 1 1/4 inches wide by 7 inches long, and you just sew the top edges. Oh, look at these guys. They're toe to toe, but there's a little 1/2 inch space right in here. So right across the top, once that's on, flip it over, and on the back side make a little hanger and sew that in place. These are flat, as you can see. Then take them and fold them so that they're wrong sides together like this. And then all you need to do is just sew around the outside edge. Let me do that very quickly. You know, the Swedish children actually had their gifts delivered on Christmas Eve by a little elf. Well, he was similar to Santa Claus. He had a white beard, had a long red hat, but he didn't have reindeer. He had a goat. Well, the children would put out porridge for the elf. Can you imagine porridge? And the goat got carrots. Now, they believed that the elf would spy on them all year, just seeing if they were behaving themselves, and then the elf would know what they were supposed to be getting for Christmas. Kind of similar to Santa Claus. Santa Claus's elves made everything for them. Now, there's only one more seam. Went the whole way around the outside, but right here at the cuff, you want to sew that seam as well. Right along there. Trim that off. And once you've sewn that cuff, then all you need to do is just fold it down over and pop that little hanger out. So cute. Now to finish it off, you just want to take some little holly and make some berries out of puffy paint. Just drop it right on there, hang it on your tree, or fill it with gifts for the kids. I'm adding to the Christmas tree. I've added little miniature stars to the yo-yo garland, and you know those stars are only about 3 inches square. They are really little. You know, you could fit enough for 24 of them right in this little project bag. They are so cute. Now this is one that's finished, and it has a large star point. This is the red, and then the small star point is the green, and then the background all around the outside edge. It's got a border and some little ribbons just to hold it on the hanger. Now, the small star point and the background are 2.5 inches square. You want to just take those two pieces and place them right sides together. This is already small. Can you imagine? I do love to make handmade ornaments, but this is a little guy. Okay, so just draw a diagonal line, corner to corner. You know, they actually started making handmade ornaments, forever. In the 1800s, they would crochet snowflakes. I love those. My mom has some of those. And all kinds of stars. Now, I have a scant 1/4 inch seam on here. Usually I sew with 3.5 stitch length. This time I moved it to 4.5. I'm just sewing down a scant 1/4 from one line. I have my needle down position. Just pivot on that center line, sew across the middle, a scant 1/4, turn, and sew down the other side. This is a little different technique, and that's what it looks like. Over, across, and down. And I'm just going to repeat that on the second side of the line. The reason that I'm doing this is because those little star points are all exactly the same. They're all going in the same direction. They are not like 8-point stars. They're just really cute little guys. Okay, gone down the other side. You create a little windmill right in the center. Looking good. Now, cut on those diagonal lines. Just line up your ruler, cut one way, and cut the other. And don't let them fall apart on you. Let them stay all together. So see, whenever you take them apart, you can see that windmill. Before you open them, take your ruler, your cutter, and trim back to 1/8 inch. This is incredible. I'm throwing away so little I can hardly even grab it. Now once you have them all trimmed, then take the green on the top and press it open so that the seam is towards the green. Now all of these will be done exactly the same way, seam towards the green. Now this is the small point, this is the background. The large point is a 2-inch square. This is my red. Just cut it on one diagonal. Now from this you can get 2 out of it. Okay, turn this piece like this, take your red, put it like this, and flip it right sides together and center the point of the red right on that seam. Scant 1/4 inch seam again, such a little guy. Line that up along there. You know that they actually invented electric lights for the Christmas tree in 1882. I think that is incredible that is how early they started just lighting up the town. Now once again, trim off that seam. Now if you don't trim off that seam, what happens when you leave that 1/4 inch seam in there, the pieces all start butting into each other. There's just not any room in there for them to go. That is the unit. We're going to square it up to 1 inch. Take the 6.5 inch square up ruler and line up number 1 right on these stitches. Number 1 lined up, and then perpendicular. There's another perpendicular line, and line that up with this one. And you are not going to believe this. You actually trim away more than you keep. And this is it. This is gone. And this is just that little guy that we have. Turn them over with the large point on the top and press them open. Ooh, I still have these little tips that I've got to trim off. When you see my thumb on here, you see how little this guy is. There he is. 1 inch. Now take those 4, made some ahead, and you're just going to set them together with a 1 inch square of the green right in the center, and then 1 inch squares of the background in all 4 corners. Sew the diagonal rows. Just go down one and down the other, flip, and then whenever you go across the other way, press those seams away from the star points. Well, I have one that's all sewn together. This is what it looks like. It's about, it's just over 1.5 inches. Such a little guy. Well, you want to add borders on 2 sides, and then once you have the borders on 2 sides, press towards the border and add borders on the remaining 2 sides. The backing is cut 3.5 inches square. It's that small, and so is the batting, 3.5 inches square. Well, on the backing, take little 2-inch pieces of ribbon and fold them in half and center them, space them equally, and just stitch right across there. And then take and place the batting on the bottom, the backing next, and take your whole little quilt top, if you could call this a quilt top, place it right sides together and sew the whole way around the outside edge. Leave a little opening in the middle of one side, and before you turn it, trim away those seam allowances again, so that when you flip it right side out, then those little loops just pop out right there, and you can make a hanger out of wire. Just loop it around, and then you can just hang this on your Christmas tree. And what a celebration when you get these stars finished. We have pine trees in all dimensions today. Mary Devendorf designed this charming wall hanging. Well, she called it Pine Tree Wreath. There's 4 dark pine trees with trunks, and then the medium makes up the wreath, going right around that center. Some background fabric, little red cornerstones, and a blue framing border. Rather soft, pastel almost. If you'd like something brighter, how about this one? We have the dark green forest, and then a different green for the wreath, and the background in a print. Same red cornerstones and blue. Oh, it's just so fun. Only 28 inches square. You can fit it in anywhere. Well, there are 3 different blocks in this wall hanging. This is the first unit, and I'm going to show you this one first. Makes up the corners of the wreath. This is the second unit. This is the branches and the trunk. And these are in the middle of the sides. 4 of those, and then there's only 1 for the very center. It's a snowball block. So it's like a 9 patch, just with different wreaths. Now, this is the same technique that I showed you on those little miniature stars. This piece starts out as 8-inch squares of the wreath and the tree, the medium and the dark. And then you just place them right sides together. Same technique. Draw a diagonal line, and sew a 1/4 inch seam down one side, right across the middle, and a 1/4 inch down the other side, and then you repeat it on the second side. Now you remember, when you cut it on the diagonal line and you open those patches up, all 4 are identical. That's the beauty of this patch. And this time I pressed the seam towards the tree. At least I could hold on to these pieces. Well, the background is a 7-inch square, and you just cut it on one diagonal, and this one square is enough for 2 of these patches. So take and put the background on the right, this patch on the left, flip it right sides together. They're a little different in size, so work to line them up. Take the tip of this and line it up with the seam right there, and then just sew in that 1/4 inch seam. Well, I love my little tree. I think it's just so cute. I was thinking about the pioneers, because I know there is no way they could put a big old tree right in the middle of their living room. And their little log cabins, they'd have to have a little tree like this one too. But at least it's a lot quicker and a lot easier to decorate. Won't take much time at all. Now this patch is squared up to 6.5 inches. In fact, all of them should come out to 6.5 inches, something to remember. So take your triangle square up ruler and line up 6.5 on the stitching line right across here, and then the perpendicular line on the ruler goes with the perpendicular line of stitching. Ooh, good, I've got it all lined up. I'm just going to trim on these 2 sides up to the corner, take that away. Second trim, take that away. Take these 2 pieces, get rid of them. And before I press it open, just cut those little tips off at a 60-degree angle. Just little guys, get rid of those. Open with the wreath and the tree on top, and press towards the wreath and the tree. Well, you need 4 of these units, 1 for each corner. And you're done with that one. Well, the second one is made up of the branches and the trunk. The branches are 2 inches by 6.5. Remember I said they're supposed to be 6.5 inches in size. So take 2-inch squares, and let's just think about the tree branches. I think if you do it this way, you're going to get them done easier. Just go ahead, draw that diagonal one way and the other. And then you just sew on those diagonal lines. And once you sew on those diagonal lines, then all you have to do is trim 1/4 inch away. That makes it easy. We've done some of this diagonal line sewing before. Each one of those 4 patches need 2 sets of branches. And here they are right here. You're just going to take them and just sew them right along this seam. And the patch that goes with them is the trunk. Now the trunk is a 2-inch by 15 inch in length, and 2 side pieces are 2 3/4 by 15 inches in length. So just sew those seams together and press them in towards the trunk and cut them into a 3.5 inch unit. Well, with the trunks on the bottom, the branches on the top, by the time they're all sewn, you've got another 6.5 inch patch. And you need to have 4. They all go right into the centers of the sides. The last patch is the snowball. You start out with a background that is 6.5 inches square. Take those 2-inch squares of the wreath fabric and put them on each of the corners. Draw the diagonal lines and sew on them. And then all you do is just trim 1/4 inch away and press those corners open. And that's the last patch. Well, let me get this all finished. I'll show you how to sew it together. We want to sew vertical rows together. That's the rows going from top to bottom. Oh, you can get them done so quick when you do it this way. Take the middle row, flip it right sides together to the left, and we're just going to zoom right down there. Just pick up the first patch. Should all be 6.5 inches. If they're not all 6.5 inches, go ahead and square any patches up that you need to. Hold this part flat right here. Hold it with your stiletto. And I always just pull over. I always just stretch the shorter one to meet. Okay, this one comes on next. You just chain through. You don't stop. You raise your presser foot. You keep on going. And I don't ever clip these connecting threads. It's just like putting pins in there. You've got that all lined up, ready. Okay, one more patch. And we'll be at the bottom of the first 2 vertical rows. Okay, hold that trunk. Now, I do like to backstitch on the beginning and the end so it doesn't fall apart. And then I just pull from the bottom back up to the top and open up and make sure it's right. Now I have the 3rd vertical row to add on, and so you just take the top block and stack from the top straight down to the bottom. I like to put that 3rd vertical row right here so that I can take that top block, pull it onto the 2nd vertical row, look at it, make sure it's right, and then flip it right sides together and just keep on going straight down this vertical row now. Now I know that the pioneers did not sit around and make little miniature star ornaments for their tree. I'm sure that they went out and they gathered pine cones and they had nuts and berries and all kinds of little things like that. Sat around and probably took popcorn and turned it into chains for the tree. That would be really fun to do. Oh, and gingerbread men. That would make their log cabin smell really good, wouldn't it? And also, I know that they gathered straw for little doll ornaments and make cute little things like that. This is the last block. 3rd row, flip it right sides together, make sure it's right, and just zip right down there. This is so easy. And now this is all just hung by threads, better than pins. Let me show you. It's going to look just like this, hanging together. And then all you need to do, lay it out, check it, make sure that everything is in order. When you flip it this way, now we're just going to press the seams towards the branch block, and those seams will lock together as you go across the other way. So why don't you take your family, make some Christmas ornaments, and decorate your tree together.